Hello everyone and welcome back to my F1 2020 My Team Career Mode Round 4 of Season 2 for the Chinese Grand Prix. Unfortunately a track that is not on the 2021 calendar, so it may of course be back in future, but for now this will be the last time we race around this circuit, so let's try to make the most of it. Here's the R&D chart. Heading into this one we've got a bit of an upgrade, but we are still, midfield. At best, so it's going to be a bit of a struggle to get a decent result here, but we'll see what we can do. Going into Q1 though, you can see the rain is starting just a couple of minutes into the session. I think it was the 5-minute mark. It will be raining, so we're not going to waste too much time here looking about the place. We need to get a good lap in early in this qualifying session if we want any chance of a Q2 appearance. If not, we'll be knocked out.
From some rain. I'll keep you updated as the conditions change.
And at that point where Jeff says that, I realise that the rain was coming, so we head out. We actually are going to drive out of the pit lane rather than using the go to track function, or the flying lap rather. We're using the go to track one, but yeah, so it's slightly faster doing this. Sometimes when you click on the flying lap button you can lose a bit of time, and we can't afford to do that. We want the track to be as dry as possible. We already might be finishing this lap in the damp conditions. We head out of pits behind George Russell. Thankfully we do find a way past him before we start our lap. This is still on the out lap, so that is good for us. We need to make sure we have a clear lap, so as we come around to end our flying lap, you can see a few drops on the screen now, so we are just going to get our lap in. As you can see, the conditions are already getting a little bit greasy here and there. Through the final corner up on the curb, we have a massive loser at the back end. Thankfully just about able to save it, and we will cross the line and set a time good enough for P3. As it stands, Hamilton tops the session with Esteban Ocon in second position. Nick de Vries and George Russell, a great job to get through in the Hasses, getting their laps in very early. Lance Stroll up in 10th in the Williams, so very mixed up qualifying. Bottas down in 9th. Max Verstappen is all the way down in 16th position, just barely scraping through. Ricciardo outside the top 10 as well, with Danny Kvyat and Matsushita surprise knockouts here, as well as Romain Grosjean. Unfortunately, Kevin Magnussen, Nicholas Latifi and Antonio Giovinazzi knocked out in Q1, so yeah, really surprised to see Matsushita and Kvyat knocked out, but good for the boys in the Hasses and for Lance Stroll in the Williams to do a decent job there into Q2 now. And it was the opposite. The session started wet and is dry at the end, so we left our lap as late as possible, and we will set our lap as close to the end of the session as we can. So around the final corner again, getting a little bit wobbly over the curb, but across the line we go. Will we get into Q3? Yes, we will. P7 for us, and we will advance to the next qualifying session. So that is fantastic news for us. No real surprises here in this session. Lando Norris knocked out along with Esteban Ocon, Carlos Sainz, and of course the two Hasses of George Russell, Nick de Vries, and the Williams of Lance Stroll knocked out as well. They were in the full dry conditions. They were never going to really have a chance to compete, but yeah, good qualifying by all of them to even make it into Q2. So it's a little bit of a mixed up grid towards the back. The likes of Matsushita and Grosjean will have a lot of work to do, along with Danny Kvyat. But anyway, as we continue on then to Q3, we will see what we can do in the most important session. We set one lap. It wasn't particularly great. We're down in 9th position, so we move on to our second flyer, but you can see we're not really improving. We're on the sort of teetering edge, but through this long right-hander and that whole section of track, we just didn't get through there very nicely, and we are now a quarter of a second off our best lap. So we're going to need to really push through these final two corners to try and gain that time back. Laid on the brakes, really nice apex through there, using the road on the exit, and now heading towards the final corner. We've made up most of the time. We're just a 10th off, so through the final corner we will improve on our initial time, but it's only by half a tenth but it will be enough to get us up into 8th position here in China, and we will start on the 4th row of the grid.
Qualifying finished, it's time to remind ourselves of our top 3.
Ricciardo, Bottas and Lewis Hamilton.
Well, that wraps up qualifying, but don't worry, we'll be back tomorrow as we head into the Grand Prix.
Guan Yu Zhou into the top 10 at his home event. Decent job by him to do that. So well done, Guan Yu Zhou. I just noticed there, but yeah. Other than that, no real surprises on the grid. Max Verstappen down a little bit, but still ahead of Leclerc. So I thought maybe the Ferraris could be a bit faster than that. Gasly doing a decent job in the AlphaTauri and Albon. Not underperforming terribly like he has the last few rounds. So he may be on for a better one this time. Let's see how things go for him. But let's head into it.
It's time to find out which driver is up to the task of claiming the Chinese Grand Prix. We're here in Shanghai.
Shanghai International Circuit then, a 16-corner high-speed thrill ride. The long and ever-tightening right-hander at turns 1 and 2 tests a driver's patience, and the flat, open to the elements location, tests their skill in a crosswind. 2 DRS zones will assist passing, and overtaking is available into turn 1, and of course down the kilometre-long back straight into the hairpin at turn 14.
Before we begin, let's take a quick look at the grid lineup for today's race. Daniel Ricciardo has a clear view ahead from pole position, and it's Valtteri Bottas that completes the front row. Looking down the rest of the grid, we have Hamilton, Albon, Pierre Gasly, and Verstappen, Leclerc, the scientist, Perez, and Guan Yu Zhou. Norris, Ocon, Carlos Sainz, and Russell, De Vries, Stroll, Daniel Kvyat, and Nobuharu Matsushita. Grosjean, Magnussen, Latifi, and Antonio Giovinazzi starts from the back of the grid. And now it's time to head down to the track.
Now that we've got some points on the board, let's continue this form and aim for another top 10 finish.
That would be a reasonable target for us. A top 10 is definitely on the cards, so I think that's really what we're aiming for here. The strategy will be soft tyres to 2 sets of mediums, nothing too crazy there. So let's just get straight into it. There are other strategies on the cards though for the other teams, so it will be an interesting one to follow. But anyway, we head to the 5 red lights. And away we go for the Chinese Grand Prix wheel spin there for the Ferrari of Max Verstappen. We go to the inside of him. We may actually get the move done here on the inside line. We do just about slot in there. And now around the outside of Alexander Albon in the Red Bull as they're going 3 wide for the race lead. Hamilton, Bottas and Ricciardo, the 2 Mercedes and the Red Bull battling away. It looks like Hamilton's going to come out on top as Bottas and Ricciardo still fight side by side. Albon trying to get involved as we drop back from that fight. We're late on the brakes down the inside of Alex Albon, almost into the back of Valtteri Bottas. He's still battling away with Daniel Ricciardo. Hamilton's gotten away after he had a pretty good start, has to be said, and Ricciardo holds off the fin for 2nd position. Bottas down to 3rd. We grab 4th from Alex Albon, and now as we make a bit of a mistake there, running a little bit deep and wide through there, but we will be able to hold on to the position, and we have gotten up to 4th position off the start. 4 positions gained in this one. That is absolutely incredible stuff. So now we need to focus on the exit here, make sure we get onto the straight nicely, a little bit wider than what we maybe should have been. But our front wing is fine. I know we got very close to Bottas, so I thought I should check that out. But no, everything is fine at the front end of the car, so we can continue to push on in this race and see what we can do. But yeah, we've survived the first lap. It's always a bit of a challenge, but we've managed that. And now we can try and chase down this group of cars ahead, but I don't think we'll have their kind of pace. But we'll give it our all and see what we can do and see if we can hold off Albon behind. But as we continue on, you can see Bottas and the group ahead have stretched away, and Albon is really putting the pressure on. We have to defend as we head into the hairpin, but we went way too deep, and that's going to allow Albon straight through, and that was a mistake we really didn't need to make. Albon wasn't that close to us for us to be defending that harshly, and yeah, that has cost us a bunch of time as well as that position.
Use DRS when you are within 1 second of the car ahead and in the DRS zone.
But yeah, it's not the end of the world. Albon is in a Red Bull. It's a faster car than ours anyway, so sooner or later he was most likely going to get past. But as we continue on, yellow flag up ahead. Who is it going to be? It's either a Red Bull or Mercedes having an issue, and as we catch up we'll see who it is, and it's Hamilton, whose engine is gone up in smoke. Lewis Hamilton, the race leader, is out of the Chinese Grand Prix. What a disaster for the title contender. He hasn't scored a lot of points so far, but very, very quick, of course, in that Mercedes. And he is retiring the car indeed. Hamilton out of the Chinese Grand Prix. Unbelievable scenes. That's his third retirement of the season from just 4 races. And that allowed Daniel Ricciardo to get back into the race lead with Valtteri Bottas in hot pursuit right under the rear wing of that Red Bull car, figuratively speaking. But as we head into the pit lane now for our first stop of the day. Not a lot of action for us in the first 10 lap stint of this race, so we will get the set of medium compound tyres on, and they will take us for half of the remaining distance. So here we go into the lane then, medium tyres on, and away we go for the next portion of this race.
Stop left in our strategy.
So let's hope we can get an undercut maybe on Albon and the cars around us. We had the pace to keep everyone else behind, so our focus is ahead as we continue on, and that is Albon right in front of us there. He just gets out ahead, but the undercut has gained us a lot of time, but I don't think we'll quite have the overall pace. Once his tyres are up to temperature and he's back up to speed, he will take off once again, because he was faster than us in the first stint. But as we continue on then, we are actually under pressure. Around the outside goes Charles Leclerc in this Ferrari, and that was a pretty easy move for him, honestly. He was on the soft compound tyres, so we didn't fight him too hard, because he's just on a different strategy, so there's no point fighting him too much, just trying to run the fastest race we can at this stage. And as we continue on, we will see hopefully the rest of our strategy play out well, but we'll find out by the end of the race. But we have a look at the strategy because Daniel Ricciardo has made his second stop of the day, and he's gone on some more softs along with a few others. So there's definitely some variance in strategy. Some people maybe doing 3 stops instead of 2 as well, so it's going to be a little bit tricky to follow the strategy as Bottas gets past us on his medium compound tyres. So
Bottas is ahead of you. They're on fresh mediums. Their tyres are 3 laps old. The time last lap was a 1 minute 38.2. You're down 8/10 a lap.
So yeah, he went soft medium for his strategy, and that's his final stop. So a lot of people have already done their final stop. So of course we are up in 3rd position at the moment. We're not going to stay there by the end.
It is 3.0 seconds.
And as we continue on, we are really under pressure from the AlphaTauri car of Pierre Gasly as he goes up the inside through his long right hander. We switch it back along the back straight, and we should have the overall pace advantage. But look at the straight line speed of that AlphaTauri. Absolute rocket ship with the DRS open, just pulling and pulling and pulling. We just don't have that kind of speed. We go back up the inside though into the hairpin as Gasly tries to get a switch back, but we will just about hold him off there and maintain the position ahead of the Frenchman. Great battling though with the AlphaTauri car there, as now the McLaren of Lando Norris is getting involved. As we continue on, Norris is up the inside, side by side through here, and we will just keep the nose in on the right hand side, trying to get the car turned and trying to get a good exit onto this back straight. We won't get alongside Norris, but we will have a slipstream as we head up the inside into the hairpin once again, down the inside of Lando Norris, running wide, but we will make the move stick on the McLaren.
That brings you up a place.
And that brings us back up one position once again. But it is now time to make our final stop of the day, and this will be onto another set of the medium compound tyres. So into the box we go. Medium tyres to go on, a brand new set, and we are released from the box. Out we go, and these will carry us through to the end of the race as the Renault of Danny Kvyat comes across right in front of us as we exit pit lane, and he is our first target. So as we continue on a lap later, we're going to go to the outside of Danny Kvyat as we head towards the hairpin, and we should be able to get this move done with some better tyre quality. Round the outside we go, and we get ahead of the Russian in the Renault, and Guan Yu Zhou is in the pits at the moment, along with the McLaren there of Lando Norris. So let's see if we can jump both of them and get back into the position we were in just before. We do that, jump those two, and we're back up and into fourth position at the moment. Charles Leclerc still ahead of us in the Ferrari. We'll see how his strategy plays out over time, but he seems to be going well for the time being. But as we continue on, that McLaren is very, very quick. Lando Norris absolutely flying as the virtual safety car is out, and that is because of a mechanical failure for Nobuharu Matsushita, and he is out of the race. Very disappointing for him, but if you're going to have a mechanical failure, you might as well have one on a day where you did not qualify too well, qualifying down in 18th position for him, I think. So points were always going to be a struggle. So not the end of the world for him, and yeah, if you're going to have one, you might as well have a mechanical failure on a bad day. So that is no real problem for him and his chances for decent points in this championship. But as we continue on, you can see making a few mistakes. Norris up the inside once again as we run side by side towards the second snail section, but not enough for him to make the move, and he stays behind us for a little bit longer. We've got Ricciardo who will be getting in the mix very soon as we head along the back straight. Once again, Norris is going to have to slipstream here in that McLaren, which was looking quite quick in a straight line just a moment ago, but as we head towards the hairpin, he just doesn't quite have enough. We're going to hold on from the McLaren and maintain the fourth position for a little bit longer. But how long can we keep this up for? How long can we continue this dance and hold on to these positions when there is a bit of a DRS chain forming behind us? So as we continue on then, Norris looking around once again, he goes to the inside as we head down towards the hairpin once again. Late on the brakes goes Lando, and he's through, and we just can't fight back against that. He's just too quick, and Norris is through and up into fourth position. Next up behind us is the Red Bull car of Daniel Ricciardo, trying to recover after making an extra pit stop in this race. Is Ricciardo. He went 3 sets of softs to a set of mediums for his strategy, and as we go around the outside of the Australian, we can't make that move stick, and he is through and ahead of us. He is up into 5th position now, so a decent recovery nonetheless for him. Next up behind us is the Alfa Romeo of Sergio, the AlphaTauri of Sergio Perez, as he goes down the inside into the hairpin. We're going to try and hold it around the outside here, and we should just about be able to get this done. We do hold it around the outside on the grass though. Perez gets through, as well as Carlos Sainz in the McLaren, and that is another mistake and dropped us down another couple of positions, and now down into 8th. And as we continue to struggle massively there, huge slide, somehow managed to save it and continue on our way, but it's really not going particularly well for us. Continuing on though, and we have Guan Yu Zhou behind us. We just have no rhythm at the moment. Zhou around the outside into this second snail section. We make a bit of contact through the left-hander, through the right-hander. We've been hit by the car behind us, Max Verstappen in the Ferrari, and that has turned us around. Here's the replay of that incident, and a bit of a bump with Guan Yu Zhou there slowed us down. Verstappen saw an opportunity, tried to take it, and it did not work. So we need to try and navigate our way to pointing the right direction. The virtual safety car is out as we have to do a bit of a 3-point turn in the middle of the circuit, blocking the track. Verstappen had nowhere to go there, and here is the replay of just trying to even get going again. Verstappen went ghost, which I think is what brought out the virtual safety car. So yeah, that is a minor disaster in our race, and now we have a train of cars behind us. We were able to break away from a couple of them, just given the rules under VSC, but we will have a lot of work to do for the rest of this one. I don't know if Verstappen got damage from that incident. I guess we'll just have to find out over the coming laps, but given that he's dropped out of the relative cars around us, that would make sense if that was the case. He got a collision warning as well. But as we continue on, then that is the AlphaTauri of Pierre Gasly getting past. We have a look to the inside as we head back towards the hairpin once again. We go around the outside though into the hairpin. We'll see if we can get this position back. The car gripping quite nicely through there, and we do maintain the position ahead of Pierre Gasly and back up and into a 9th position in this one, just about holding on to a couple of points. So yeah, we're really struggling towards the back end of this race, and I honestly don't know what it is. We just have no rhythm, and I'm just driving badly. Very wide there. Gasly's up the inside as we head through the first few corners. Round the outside of turn 2 he goes, but we'll have the inside line and we'll manage to hold on to that position ahead of Pierre Gasly. But now as we continue on, that is Esteban Ocon round the outside. As we get back up the inside though into the little hairpin here, and we will maintain that position. But we're really fighting hard with the two Frenchmen behind us, and maybe another one getting involved very soon with our teammate catching up to us, as well as the Russian Danik Kvyat. But as we continue to fight with Gasly, he does get through, but we're not done yet as we have a little look up the inside of the final corner, and that's just about going to give us a run as we head along the main straight. We will have the DRS assistance side by side with Gasly, and we'll get the move done before we get to the first corner. And we've retaken 9th position once again from Gasly, with Esteban Ocon still in pursuit. We continue on again. You can see how hard we're defending, stomping on the brakes, just parking it on the apex, doing everything we can to try and hold this position. But we are doing just enough at the moment. We continue on. That's Ocon has a huge moment. He might have been in hard into the wall there. We'll have to see the onboard to see exactly how that ended. But you can see just light contact with our right rear on the exit to the back straight, and that has sent Ocon sliding and sliding. In the end, it was relatively light graze with the concrete barrier, and then head-on crash into the end of the Armco. But that is a huge moment for Esteban Ocon, and a big mistake from him as we continue to fight with Pierre Gasly, and just about holding him off once again. And yeah, we need to get into the habit of using a bit more energy and trying to stay ahead of the cars behind. But as we continue to fight, that's going to get more difficult if we use up our energy too much. You know, I am conscious of having some left if we really desperately need it. But Gasly around the outside, we managed to re-overtake him once again, a little bit deep, and Gasly contact with us there, and that's made him very slow there. Probably got some damage to his car as well, and we get a collision warning for that, and that's allowed Ocon and Grosjean to get through. Look at Grosjean, the speed he's got along the main straight. He's going to go down the inside of us into the first corner. He might make 3 overtakes in a handful of corners here. And he goes down the inside, and we just can't quite fight him around the outside. He's just got so much more grip than us there. And Grosjean's through, and he has just gone from, I think that was 11th or 12th position, up into 9th. He's just overtaken myself, Gasly, and Ocon. So yes, he went from 11th to 12th to 9th, rather, in this race in just 2 corners. That is great for Romain Grosjean, and not so great for us, but really good to see him making moves like that, and he will finally get some points on the board. But running very wide there for us on the penultimate lap of the race. That allows Max Verstappen through, as he is still getting back into the fight in this one. We got a good slipstream though in the no DRS for us though, but we will get down the inside of Max Verstappen really late on the brakes there, trying to get it stopped without overshooting the corner. We do make the move and get back ahead of Max Verstappen. We're really taking the inside line here to try and cover off Verstappen. That gives us a really compromised exit though, as we head along the main straight for the final time, with Max Verstappen on our left hand side trying to make the move, but we'll cover him off. We have the inside line. Verstappen will try and switch to the right though, as we head through these first few corners, this snail section, but we will just about hold off the Dutchman in the red car, and we will hold on to the position once again. But meanwhile, in Valtteri Bottas land, he has dominated the latter half of this race, and he will win the Chinese Grand Prix. Great drive, Valtteri Bottas, and he will be very happy to finally get some decent points on the board. Same story for the Mercedes team as a whole. It's been a tough start to the year, but yes, they will be glad to get a win on the board once again for them. So good news all round for the team in black. But as we continue on, the other team in black, we are also in black. But continuing on then, Verstappen is nowhere near us on this final attempt. We managed to finally get that second snail section right, and that was enough to help us hold off the Dutchman in the flying Ferrari. So around the final corner, we're going to do it. We're just about going to hold on to one singular point in this Chinese Grand Prix.
That's the end of the race. We'll see you in Parc Fermé.
Still counts. Driver of the day for Romain Grosjean. Gotta say, it was a decent effort from him to come back from a lowly qualifying.
And Mercedes have pulled off a great victory here today. Tell me, Ant, how do you think they were able to deliver such an incredible result today?
Well, I think it was clear what the main contributing factor out on the track was today: speed. I know it sounds like an obvious thing to say, Crofty, but fast cars win races, and we saw that today with our winner.
And I can see the drivers starting to approach the podium for the victory celebrations. A real team victory today. Everybody played their part. Congratulations then to Mercedes, your race winners today.
So it is Valtteri Bottas who wins the Chinese Grand Prix, with some good points on the board for Alex Albon in second position, with Charles Leclerc in third.
After this round of the World Championship, here's how things look in the drivers' table. Daniel Ricciardo is the new leader of the Drivers' Championship after today's results. Let's focus on the driver of the day. Anthony Davidson, who do you pick?
Romain Grosjean's my driver of the day. I don't think I've ever seen such a strong performance from him.
Let's move on to the constructors. Our championship leaders retain their position, but their lead is shrinking. There was also a strong showing from the Mercedes team today as they make their way up the standings. After an event like that, who knows what the sport has in store for us next time? Be sure to join us again as we continue to bring you the latest excitement in Formula One.
Well, there you have it, the end of the Chinese Grand Prix, and pretty exciting one there, with Esteban Ocon having a big old crash, and plenty of defending on our part. But yeah, that was a tough one at the end. We had so much pace at the start, holding on to a top 5 position all throughout the race, and then at the end we just really dropped off and really started struggling. So I don't know what that was about. I just clearly was not in the mindset to drive well at that point. But nonetheless, more points, if only one more point. Grosjean finally gets a few on the board, so that's great for him, and hopefully that will serve him well throughout the rest of this season, and for the team's championship as well. We lost positions in both the drivers and teams championships, of course. We've had a crazy season so far, and you know, we were way above where our car and our pace should be. We've been so lucky in the first 3 rounds, so yeah, I guess this is really where the car should be. Sorry, I'm yawning a bit there. But yeah, I guess this is really where our pace is. This is where our race really went wrong. I think this wrecked our tyres. I think that's partly where we lost pace, but we'd already sort of lost it before that with that moment that allowed Carlos Sainz and was it Fiat? I forget. It was someone else, and just before Carlos Sainz that got past us. But anyway, let's move on from this one. Bit of a tough day, but yeah, nonetheless, still more points on the board, and that's what's important at this point of the season. We just need to keep getting as many points as we can, and I feel like we maybe missed a few today, but on the whole, still more points is always good. So yeah, let's get into the interviews.
Things didn't really go your way today. Let's have your take. You had a few bumps and scrapes today. Who would you say is at fault?
It's hard to say. That bump with Ocon, could have maybe left him a little bit more space, but in the end I think he ran into us.
Why do you think you weren't as quick as your teammate today?
Got punted by a Ferrari? Maybe? Nah, I was losing pace before that. I'm not sure what was happening towards the end of the race, honestly.
Appreciate your time.
Thanks, Claire. Alright, so that brings the Chinese Grand Prix weekend to a close. Guan Yu Zhou actually beats us in the rivalry comprehensively for that round, but we're still leading overall, and we get a bunch of money in the bank still. Thankfully, when we are not performing well, Grosjean still hauling in the points and the objectives for us in this one, so well played to him there, saving us a bit. But anyway, other than that though, let's get into the activity timeline, and we are going to go for the second driver press tour. What? That doesn't make any sense, but anyway, sure, we'll do that. We're going to go with the aero team building and the G-force training, help Grosjean get some better stats for the upcoming rounds. But anyway, through the activity timeline now with no music for some reason.
Parts have been completed without issue. They'll be on the car ready for the next race weekend.
And we have a press interview to do, so let's do that.
Here we are in the HQ of our newest Formula 1 team. We've got an awful lot to talk about, so let's jump straight in.
Okay.
You've got one of the top teams in the Constructors' Championship. What's your secret to scoring those points?
We just have to keep working hard and upgrading the car and keeping up with the R&D race. But to be honest, we have been very lucky with podiums early this season.
Are you looking to make changes in order to push your team from the midfield up to being a title contender?
We're not really going to change too much anytime soon, I don't think. We're just going to keep pushing on with the development of the car, and it will eventually get there, we hope. So yeah, we've gotten this far. There's no need to change anything too much.
Sponsors seem to be climbing over one another to get their name onto your car. What do you plan on investing that extra money into?
Probably the aero department. There's definitely a lot of room for improvement there in terms of our facilities and just the way our car is. We definitely need to work in that area.
You've managed to get your team into a good position. How long do you think it will be before you can challenge the big three?
I'm not sure. It could be the end of this season, or it could be in a season's time. It's hard to say, but we'll do our best to make that time come as soon as possible. But yeah, for sure, it's going to be a fun challenge once we get there.
Isn't it safe to say you focused heavily on driver development?
Yeah, of course we do. It's very, very important to make sure that the drivers are at their best. So
it's been wonderful to spend some time with you. Best of luck out on track.
Thank you.
Morning, boss. This week's income from the sponsors has cleared, and we're making good profit against our running costs.
I'm not sure if I should leave this all without music, because it sounds very strange. It's like, it's oddly silent when there's no music in the background. But anyway, as for the R&D for this episode, this was recorded, this clip, just after practice, which is why you can hear the garage ambient sounds in the background. And we're going to go for an engine power upgrade for this one, and that will give us a small power boost for the Spanish Grand Prix, I believe. I missed that. But anyway, and back to present time, and we are going to do an aerodynamic upgrade to the DRS, the minor DRS upgrade there on the right. That is what we are going to apply to the car next. So we've been thinking about that one for a long time. So I thought we would finally get that onto the car, and both of those upgrades, they're minors, so they'll come in, within a race or two, and they should help us out, especially that DRS one with Baku coming up in a few rounds' time. That would be very, very helpful, as well as the engine power. So hopefully those upgrades will be on in time for the Azerbaijan Grand Prix. But we've got that front wing upgrade, major front wing upgrade coming, so that should balance the car out a bit, and hopefully help us drive a little bit more nicely. So that will be really helpful for the next round in Zandvoort.
So the entire development package for this weekend has failed.
And the front wing upgrade's failed. Major upgrade, and it's gone. We've had a lot of failures this season, so that's really disappointing. We can't even repurchase it yet, so we're going to need to wait until after practice for that. But other than that, there's not too much else left to cover. So I will say thank you very much for watching, and I will see you next time for the Dutch Grand Prix, where hopefully more upgrades don't fail at the end of that episode. But other than that, thanks. I'll see you next time. Goodbye.